representatives of different agencies who are here this morning for this presentation. Um, Thank you, AFPON executive, for also inviting me to be part of your program. I've made presentation in a couple of conferences, and I'm pleased to be part of your presentation today as well. And I do believe that we'll continue to put our resources together to make sure we advance this association to the next level. So welcome um, to this conference. I'm going to go straight forward into the conference. I've got a very limited time. The thing I want to look at today is we've been talking about different aspects of forensics, and ordinarily we are focusing on the theme for this conference is forensic practice in Nigeria now and the future. And I'll be looking at critical issues and advancing forensic practice in Nigeria. Like it was said in my profile, I've been in forensic practice for more than 12 years. So I virtually have had interaction with a lot of people in the forensic field. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure you should be talking about digital forensic in Nigeria without mentioning me, or one way or the other, me, knowing somebody in one agency or the other who is involved in digital forensic, as long as it is. Because my agency happened to be one of the pioneers with regards to digital forensic investigation in Nigeria. We are proud to be that. But again, we have expectation. Our expectation is that we need to have grown beyond where we are. Okay, we are not there yet, but we made significant progress. And we think that we can make further progress if the issues I'll be mentioning today are adequately addressed. How I wish all the stakeholders in the forensics are all here to hear us, because if they are not getting the right information, then it becomes difficult for them to make the right policy to advance forensic into the next level in Nigeria. Okay, so let's go quickly to the next. Like you've been told, my name is Geoffrey Okolorie. I'm an officer with the EFCC, the head of digital forensic investigation at the moment. And like you've been told, I've had some experience in intelligence, high-level intelligence. I've worked with a couple of officers from different agencies, the NDLA, the National Crime Agency, and other agencies like that, who provide support in different capacity to them. Now, because we've been saying these things and we're saying these things, the things that we need to do, put in place to advance forensic, I had to put it in an entirely different way altogether to make sure that probably with this approach, we'll be able to drive the message very clear to all of the participants. So, what are the critical issues in moving forensic from where it is to the next level? This is very important. And I think that if you're a representative of the agencies, you should adequately note them. And in fact, I was thinking that we should be able to come up with a communique at the end of this conference to say, these are the gaps in the forensic field in Nigeria. Identify them one after the other, communicate them to the policymakers, and make sure they are adequately implemented. Otherwise, we'll just be enjoying the fantasies of forensics without, the capacity to make sure that it's practiced in Nigeria. And that will be a mirage for us. That we'll be talking about. I've been to conferences and presentation, and they're asking me, do they really practice forensic in Nigeria? And I'm amazed at that. Okay, I'm really amazed at that, because that goes a long way to tell me that a lot of people are still not aware of the extent of capacity development in Nigeria, and that needs to be communicated very effectively. So the first thing I identify as the issue with regards to moving forensic from where it is to the next level is what I call nurturing the seedless garden. Nurturing the, let's make it a bit interactive. Nurturing the seedless garden. Seedless garden. So you're nurturing a seed, okay, in the seedless garden. And this is quite, what does it imply? It means that you are nurturing. Of course, we know the concept of nurturing. You have your seedlings, you nurture them, it grows, and from there, it becomes, you will have a stem from there, it will have the branches from there, fruit. Now you are nurturing the seedless garden. What does that imply? Implies that you are training the people who do not necessarily need the skill. And we've seen that play out in different organizations, where training is a means of patronage. If I like you, I send you for training. Irrespective of the fact that the training we are giving you, you're not bringing it back to the agency to add value in the respective area. And that's what I mean by that. So the resources is wasted. We've had people go for training that is not directly impacting on their roles in their various agencies. And that's a problem. The thing to bear in mind is that the training, forensic training, are usually very expensive. And you send senior officers who are not the full soldiers doing the work to go for a training because you are using training as a patronage to them. They go back, they would never handle the tools. They would never come to the lab to speak to the officers who are directly involved in the investigation. So that's what it means. You are nurturing the seedless garden. At the long run, the garden is not going to bring you any vegetable, no tomato, nothing. But you have been nurturing it, pouring water on it, wasting our resources. They go enjoy themselves and all that. So this is the problem. I need to be adequately addressed. Somebody involved in fingerprint investigation, and it's time for training, you go and send a man who is in admin. He comes back. What is he going to do with the training? Nothing. He's not interested in the first place. These are the things we need to deliberately. I'm not sure this kind of thing happen in England. I'm not sure it happens in America. I'm not sure it happens in other parts of the world. But this is something that we see here. So we need to change our attitude and disposition in nurturing that seedless garden that will not bring us the desired fruit. This is the first thing. Okay? We also talk about lack of transfer of knowledge. Okay? So the people go for a training, come back. Because that is not even their area. One, they didn't have an interest. They have acquired the knowledge. They come back. The interest to even transfer the knowledge they have acquired is not there. Because primarily, that is not even their role. It was done as a way of patronizing them. I like him. I need to send him for a training. And forensic is one of the things that sound fantasizing. You know, I went for forensic training. But handle the tools and take somebody's fingerprint, you're not able to do it. But I went for forensic. You know, it has this kind of Oyibo sound kind of thing. It's Oyibo thing. So I went for forensic training. Then they'll place you here. But you're not capable of doing it because that was not even your role in the first place. And this is why most organizations have tools, resources that are lying fallow because the rightful people are not sent for the right training. And this is quite, it's a shame. And I think we need to change our attitude towards that. The next slide, please. The second thing is the next slide. Next slide is the silent desert. Okay? Silent desert. The silent desert has to do with conflict of interest. Conflict of interest. And what does that imply? That implies that we are not buying tools based on need assessment. We are buying tools because I have a brother who is dealing on a particular equipment. And I need to buy it and bring it so that I can have my own share. It's my brother, it's my friend. I need to patronize him. So we buy the tools. There were no preparation for training to utilize the tools. The main essence is because I want that patronage, that relationship. I have an interest in that business. So we buy the tools. There's no program for how we're going to use the tools. The equipment is going to come and it's going to be lying fallow. But the good thing for the person who is making the policy, who is deciding what tool to be bought, is the fact that his interest has been protected. He has made his money. Whatever thing you do with the tools, he's not interested. Whether the tools work or not, go and find a way and resolve that issue. He's not interested. Because his primary motive is to do what? Is to make the money, to get the profit. So that's why I call, please don't worry about showing me. They are seeing me already. Just put the slide on the screen. That's what I call the silent desert. Okay? Lack of after purchase maintenance. There are a lot of organizations today. Equipment were bought. The foot soldiers were not part of the process of buying the tools. So after they have procured the tools, there are challenges. Nobody can resolve it. Even the management that was involved in purchasing the tool is not even interested in what you're talking about. So you buy a tool, it comes, okay, the cable did not accompany the tool. And we're saying, how do we get the cable to connect the system with the monitor? No cable. And some of them are designed by certain vendors to work in certain ways. That's the silent desert. So we need to, if we are serious about what we need to do, and I'm of the school of thought that, look, if we think your organization, if you think you're not ready for forensic, there's nothing to worry about. Let's give it as service to organizations that are ready, perhaps private organizations, and that would imply encouraging private organizations also to get into the forensics, because we as government were not ready to invest the right resources in it, we're not going to get the outcome because it's garbage in, garbage out. You don't put the right resources in terms of equipment, in right training and all that, and you expect America wonder how does it work? It's not going to work anywhere. Okay, so when equipments are bought, the food soldiers should be part of that process to understand the after purchase maintenance services, because it's not about buying it and it's one off. It's equipment that will last for 10 years. And people who are the food soldiers, who are going to be interacting, romancing the machine, do not understand the terms of contract. So something is bad, they don't even know what to do about it, because the document with regards to the purchase of the equipment is not at their disposal. It's a problem. And I'm sure if you ask one after the other from different agencies, if you have forensic equipment, some of you will tell me that you don't even understand the terms. There's no guarantee, warranty. Some of you don't even know what is contained in the warranty. So we buy a computer, and there's a problem with the computer. And the warranty is within 2 years. There's a problem. We are now looking at how to resolve it internally, not even knowing that there is already a warranty. And we can even return the equipment and get a replacement without a dime on it. But we don't understand. Because as at the time it was purchased, the executive or whoever was directly involved. And at that level, the food soldiers were not part of it. All we know is that we have provided the equipment. And why are you not using it? And we are saying there's a problem and we cannot resolve it. So that's the silent desert, and it needs to be taken care of. So for every equipment, every stakeholder used in the policy formation, and all the people who are in the chain for the maximization of that equipment needs to be part of the procurement process. We must understand it. So that we are even making sure if you're buying a computer, the computer confirms to a specification with the utilization of certain tools. There are certain software you buy. Because of limited resources on the computer, that software cannot be used on that computer because it requires high RAM, it requires high processor, it requires high storage capacity. And if you don't have that, even though you have bought the software, you have bought the computer, it cannot serve that purpose. But what would the policies makers say? Well, we have bought you a computer. But there is a difference between a computer and a computer. A difference between a computer and a computer. That's why higher performing computers are usually more expensive than a lower one. Hello? Are we together? Just like this. Okay, so snake oil in the craft. Snake oil in the craft. Oil in the craft. And he's talked about quackery. Quackery. So, and I said that one, quackery has led to because of lack of regulation. So anybody can just wake up, I'm a forensic expert. I've seen people who go for 5 days boot camp. I say digital forensic expert. Never done. I stayed 2 weeks in Northampton. Internship alone, 2 weeks. My organization paid £5,000 for each person. 2 weeks. Just for 2 weeks. And that was not even enough. If you do SANS training, each of SANS training in digital forensic, 3 days, 1 week, is about $8,000 for 5 days. And somebody will say he did 3 days boot camp. Now he's a digital forensic expert and he's parading himself. What can you do? The worst of the boot camp is that he didn't even touch computer during the boot camp. But he was given a certification. So you have a certification as a digital forensic expert because you've been doing IT. And now you are a certified boot camp. I went for a conference and I was asking them. I said, we're organizing millions of people to become digital forensic experts. What is the mechanism or the program we have in place to make sure that people who are not within the law enforcement will have access to digital devices to examine as experts? If you don't have that process, then people are just attending to carry the profile of a digital forensic expert without touching a drive, without touching a flash drive. So in as much as you want to recruit people and encourage people to come into the profession, there has to be that mechanism where the police or whatever law enforcement agency can say that this organization will have a bilateral relationship with them, that we can send cases to them to examine on our behalf. Because we may not have all the resources as much as they have invested in providing the tools, the training for their staff. So we have that relationship with them and we'll do it together. So that's a problem. There's a lot of and I've seen them a lot. And sometimes I express my opinion, in those conferences, and it's resulting into a lot of things. The thing about quackery is that when people do things, I do review of our cases. When our officers examine cases, they bring to me, and I do a review. And I found out that that review is very important, and you must have the right experience to do a review. Peer review was what we talked about yesterday. I remember somebody talked about peer review. Do you understand? The reason is because I can continuously see my eye as a T, because I'm overwhelmed with other thoughts when I was reading that article. So that eye continually look like a T in my eyes. Somebody else will look at it and say, no, this is supposed to be a T, not I. Because what a word would mean with an I and a T will be different. So a second eye will have to look at it and say, no, this is supposed to be a T, not an I. So quackery, the absence of strong professional and institutional organs. There are no strong institutional organs. Okay, that's why you can have somebody say, I was in court in Port Harcourt, and somebody says an expert, a chemical forensic expert. After that introduction, all the questions they asked him regarding chemical, he doesn't have an answer. What is PMS? He doesn't know. What is this? He doesn't know. And I was wondering, then what gave you the impetus to say you are a forensic expert when you cannot define terms associated with the area that you have claimed that you're a professional? We'll find a lot of that here. The question is, if I go to court and I tell them I'm an expert, what does the court do to validate my credential? What does the court do? What does the court do? I'm a forensic expert and I'm in court. What does the court do? Or what does even the defense do to authenticate that this person who is standing here? We saw incidences of people who are practicing medicine without going to medical school. Have you not seen that? In Africa. And carry out surgery on people. We had an incident like that sometimes in Lagos. Somebody who had gone to court, 1 case, going to court. He never went to law school. So the question is that if somebody claims that he's an expert and he comes to court and he's not one, how do we validate his identity, his credential, to know that he has the capacity? Anybody can come and claim anything. And if it's by verbal expression, then anybody can claim anything. There has to be a process. And that's what I'm talking about, the quackery. It has to be addressed. We should go beyond where it's building a society as against just making money. Do I like money? I do. But I don't like it to the extent where there's quackery. Because the impact on the society is going to make us lose confidence on the profession. And when you talk about, I say, no, where are you going to? Forensic. Forensic. Are we sure? Forensic. You heard the comment about this, the guy who died, the musician. They say they are doing autopsy, right? So then you need to listen to what people, no. Are we going to get what we should get? Are we expecting the right thing? Because there's absence of strong institutional organs, there's lack of regulation. Because once you claim what you are not, and it's discovered you claimed what you are not, the question is what are the consequences? There are no consequences, then nobody can claim anything. So this is very important. The next slide, please. For want of time, let's run. Navigating the company's inner currents. You're navigating, how to navigate the company's or institutional inner current. What do I mean by that? So we train 5 people in facial recognition, for example. As soon as they come back from America, we post them to quarter guard or oddly. Have you not seen that before? Hello? Am I talking to the wrong people? So there's a problem. This man needs to build on his career. And now you have posted him out to something else. All the knowledge that acquired is what? He lost. In vain. So there has to be consistency. Consistency. When he goes to this training, the next training he should go. But as soon as he comes, you post him out. Post him. I don't like this. The way this face is, I don't like him. Post him out. You distort the program, and all that. So that's part of our problem. In terms of capacity building, there has to be consistency. Consistency. Then when you stand as an expert, your profile, your training is inconsistent with what it should be. So this is very important, and it happens a lot in different organizations. We've seen people. I've had people call the man. This man, where is he? He's no longer in that team. He has been posted out. Ah, no, we can't build it that way. Next one. Okay, droughts are missed unseen riches. There's drought. No water, lack of funding. Lack of funding. The question is that is there no funding? It's either the people are not interested or they are not willing to invest the right resources to get the right result. Lack of funding. Yes, limited resources is a problem. I have had the privilege to be in some labs, and when I ask them how much does this cost in the UK, and they tell me the cost, I'm telling you some of one single equipment can cost the entire equipment in some of our labs. One equipment. So it's extensively expensive. And that's why any organization that has a forensic unit has to really make up their mind to say we want to fund it. Either we are willing to fund it or we're not willing, then we'll leave it. Because if you fund it a bit and you didn't fund it to the extent that it needs to give you the desired result, the money that is invested is wasted. You know why? Equipment will become obsolete. The people you have trained initially will forget all the things they have learned. So it's either we are doing it or we're not doing it at all. That's it. So there has to be the right funding. Lack of commitment to funding. They have the money. We're ready to fund other things. Why are we not funding forensics? Why are we not funding forensics? If there is mass murder and we have to collect blood spatter, why can we not use their blood sample to identify individuals based on their DNA analysis? Why? No, why? Because we're not putting the right funding. How many organization in Nigeria has a proper DNA forensic laboratory? How do you identify individuals without a DNA? First of all, a database and even the analysis. Why do we have to send sample to South Africa and America and UK for analysis? Why can we not do it? I mean, we're not going to discover a new DNA profiling equipment or methodology. The templates are already there. It's buy the equipment and make sure people are trained to do it. Why is it happening elsewhere? In our clan, it's not happening. That's the issue. These are critical issues we have to face. People die, we can't identify them. We don't even know who they are and all that. So these are the things that we need to really ask. So now we ask ourselves, are we really ready for this thing? We're not ready, we're not ready. If we're ready, let's do it right and get the right result. Next slide, please. Okay. Lost in the shadow of ignorance. Lost in the shadow of ignorance. That's where there's no awareness. Do you know, I go to court, even defense counsel don't even know what to ask me. Because they don't know anything about forensic. So they don't know nothing about forensic. They've been hearing it, but they've never seen it. I mean, I've gone to make presentation and I ask, how many of you know the concept of forensic? Then they'll use their phone and begin to ask Google. Because they don't even know the basic understanding. Forensic should be part of our law. Should understand. Should have an in-depth, you may not have an in-depth understanding, but an overview. Why do you defend your clients and you don't even know anything about forensic? And the worst is that you even had the time, you know you are going to cross-examine an expert. Not even one research on that field. And I'm wondering. So there's a general lack of knowledge and awareness. And it goes across board. Both the investigators, the public, legal officers, policymakers, a lot of awareness. So there has to be a deliberate commitment to create the right awareness, that people understand it. The woman in the market should be able to understand that, look, if there's a dispute in this regard, it can be resolved using forensic analysis. Adequate recommendation should be made. That this is what we need to do. We've not seen that. Maternity issue, and people are saying, no, it resembles you, it doesn't resemble you, and all that. We don't need to do all of that. We'll call all the partners involved and do a simple profiling for them and identify that this is not your son. It's not your, because there's no agreement between your DNA profiling and that of the child. And the issue is resolved. And here, people are dying, they are fighting, is my child, is not my child, and all that. That's the problem. That's the problem. Okay, so the ignorance, it has to be, and that's why this conference is organized. That people should come and sensitize them to the awareness of what forensic will be able to do. And we found in other clans that issues have been resolved. Because we need to look at why forensic in the first place. The reason for forensic is that there are things that ordinary natural occurrences by virtue of human ability are not able to perceive. With the aid of forensic, we can interpret them. It may look like alibo, but it's drugs, it's cocaine. If you don't know, you don't know. You understand? The fingerprints may look alike, but again, if you don't have the capacity, the tools to examine them, then you say they look alike. The question is, what is the difference between the blood of a monkey and the blood of a human being? How do you ascertain that? Now this blood is the blood of a monkey, not the blood of a human being. They may look all reddish, but that does not mean that they are all from the same source. Okay? It could be different animal, but it's all blood. Until you do the proper analysis, then you'll be mistaking the blood of a cow for a human being, or a human being blood for an animal. So this we need to put in proper perspective. Okay, next slide please. I think I'm almost there. Okay, hammer lay dormant in our neighborhood. The hammer is laying dormant in our neighborhood, and this talked about the lack of local capacity development. Do we have any organization or a company in Nigeria that provide any forensic, that manufacture any forensic tool or solution? Now I'm asking the question. Do we have? If your organization here, you celebrate, can I just see your hand? Celebrate too. You celebrate. Okay. Okay, plenty organization. What's the problem you're having now? We are at the mercy of the manufacturer because we don't have local capacity. You can't build a field. You can't build a field in that way. There has to be different sectors in terms of capacity development. There has to be researchers, the academia must be involved, the law enforcement must be involved, the institutions, academic institutions will be involved, the software engineers will be involved, and we build a capacity locally. The vendors must be involved. That synergy must be there. Otherwise, we are at their mercy. Tomorrow we just look at them. Nigeria, we don't like them. Remove them from the list. Don't supply them tools again. And we're handicapped. But we have software engineers here. Why are we not building this? It's a national thing. People who understand it invest the right resources. Some companies that I'm aware I've worked with and interacted with, they build their software internally. They have engineers who are sent on training to build the capacity. So when we say we're having issues with this, with analyzing this, it's okay, let's identify 3 people and train them in this field. They come, look at the tool we have, modify it to build the capacity in that area. That's the way to be deliberate about it. So you are telling me that we are interested in forensic and we don't have any capacity to manufacture any equipment, any piece of equipment. We don't have software developed for forensic capability. We can't do it that way. That's the problem. We need to be able to do that. Right. Next one. Okay, stranded at the crossroad of public and private businesses. Public-private partnership. Public-private partnership. Are we really building? The government people don't have confidence in the private organizations. They will undermine, they will compromise our sample. They will not do this. Okay, you now, you don't want to give them, then you build your capacity. We're not building. So we are on a crossroad. You see that? So what happened in some clan is people work for government and they retire and set up their own private company. And because of the confidence that the government has, they establish a relationship with them. There is nowhere that I'm aware that only government is able to fund forensic. There has to be that synergy between the private investors, because private investors are primarily there for business, so to speak, and support the environment. I mean, we have some vendors here. Please appreciate all the vendors here who have supported. Let's give them a round of applause. Because some of them are identifying with us, some are not interested at all. If it's not contract, they're not interested. There must be contract. But some are spending their money to be part, even fund themselves, fly themselves to be part of this. And Star School has been one of them here. So we need a partnership to say, government, let's synergize. They bring their resources, we also partner and find a way. They have a problem, we help them. We have a problem, we go to them. That synergy is there, and we're moving forward. The whole idea is to have a safe society. If the society is not safe, neither you nor me will be safe. And the partnership is to that extent. Okay, so there has to be that confidence. We must establish that confidence. Very important. Praise God. Sorry, please, sorry, please just bear with me. I'm used to that. I'm used to that. So please, I beg your pardon. Thank you. Right. So navigating the ship without a North Star. I ask you a question, simple question. What is your organization structure for building your forensic capability? What program do you have in place? How many organizations have a program to say in the next 2 years, this is our program for the forensic. In the next 5 years, this is our program. Without a program, see, how do you enter a university and there's no curriculum? How do you graduate? No, I'm asking you, how do you graduate? You enter a university and there's no program. To say this year, you do this one, next year, this is what you do. By 4 years, we should be able to roll out 5 forensic experts. There's no program. Any organization has a program. Any organization here represented, you have a program. Can I see your hand? You have a program, okay. Very good. I'm happy to hear that. You have a program, you have a program. Okay, that's awesome. Some have programs, but these programs are not sustainable. Because when one administration comes, they say, no, let's not do forensic anymore. And the program will be distorted. They will start from beginning or start a different thing altogether. So it's not also enough to have a program, a sustainable program that the organization is going to buy into the vision to say, in the next 20 years, we should be the foremost forensic lab in Nigeria in terms of DNA, in terms of fingerprint, in terms of digital forensic and all that. There has to be a definite program. Otherwise, I'm telling you, in the next 15 years, we'll gather and we'll not be able to go anywhere because there's no definite spelled out program and curriculum. For every profession, that's the way it works to achieve the result. You want to become a medical doctor, there's a program. You must go to law school. As a lawyer, you finish your 5 years, you go to law school, then you practice and you're there. There has to be a well-defined program that is followed, by every organization. And I think we're almost there. Navigate, okay. Play a complex game with missing rules. So, the legal framework. How do you play a game and there are no rules? So the question, what are the rules for practicing forensic in Nigeria? The legal framework. Very limited. There has to be the legal framework. But everything we do in forensic, there has to be a legal framework that supports that practice. If there's no legal framework, then you don't have a standing to do that. So there has to be, so it means that the lawyers also, the judiciary, has to be involved in it, understand it, appreciate it, do the necessary laws that will help to facilitate and progress the profession. If that is not done, then something is missing somewhere. So we need to do that. Right. Yeah, I think we're almost there. Okay, so I want to say thank you for want of time. We're almost there. Thank you very much for listening to my presentation. I don't know, do I have the opportunity to take questions?
Maybe one or two. Just you make it quick.
Okay.
I have about 5 questions.
Oh, okay.
But I'm going to put one across.
Okay.
My name is Dr. Oji. My question is this. I have to be practical at this point.
Yes.
A situation you go to court and the EFCC as the complainant in a criminal matter brings a defendant to court. The defendants pleaded not guilty and the trial resumes proper. In the course of the trial, a witness, that is PWs, are brought. What I mean by PWs are the prosecution witnesses. The PWs are brought in. And one of the PWs happens to come from EFCC. as the prosecution to be able, because in criminal trial you prove beyond all reasonable doubt. In the course of your cross-examination, you put a question across to the PWs, who is not an expert witness, but he put himself before the court that he is an expert witness. You ask him, what is your qualification? He tells you, I'm an assistant director from the Department of Cybercrime or so. And you ask him, are you an expert witness? He do not understand that language. This is somebody that came to testify. You ask him again, what are the instruments you use in conducting your forensic analysis? He do not understand that language. You ask him again, may I be right to say that you never conducted any analysis? You never conducted you carry out any forensic investigation on the defendant? He said no, that he did carry out an investigation. You now begin to wonder, what is this man's qualification? How did he carry out such analysis, or collect his evidences, his samples, analysis and all that? My question is this, sir. I think I've known you for a couple of years. You are an experienced investigator. I want to ask, the department you had, the entire staffs, are they versatile? Are they trained in forensic? I don't know whether you get my question.
I do very well.
Are they all trained in forensic? Are they rooted and trained in forensic?
Okay.
So that the defendants will not be convicted, for what he or she never committed. Okay. Thank you very much. I have other questions, 5 questions, but I will put one across. Thank you.
Okay. If it's possible, I would have pleaded that it's better to address some of these questions, because for me, that's the essence of the conference. We should be able to address them, if it's possible anyway, based on the time at our disposal.
Sorry.
Okay,
sorry, the questions, we have another section that is coming up.
Okay.
So maybe during that time, that interactive session, you'll have opportunity to rule out the questions.
I would have just asked this, just one of it,
Okay.
so that I can round up. Do you people plan, or do you have already in existence a database for all individuals in Nigeria to assist you people in curbing? I base in cyber security.
Okay.
That is the one that concerns the act that established EFCC. That is the EFCC Act. Do you people have a database whereby maybe somebody committed a fraud, somebody moved so amount of money to so place? Do you have a database that even if the person abscond, you can be able to trace the person using biometrics? That is a database where everybody's data is stored.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I can address them, right? Go ahead. Okay. Thank you very much. Very, very, very interesting. I can see the passion, exuding from you and all that, and I'm really impressed with that. Let me state first of all that I'm not speaking here in the capacity of a representative of the agency. So I'm not representing the EFCC at this platform. I'm here in the capacity of being a member of the association. So I'm not in a position to address some of the issues that you have raised. However, I like to state this. Number one is the fact that it's a simple thing. If somebody claims what he is not and he comes to court to give a testimony, I think the court has a way of addressing that. Am I correct? Hello? So what will happen to his testimony? His testimony is not going to fly. So it's simple. So I think we shouldn't be bothered. What we should be bothered with is, I'm asking the man a question and he's not answering, and my Lord is hearing his responses. The issue addresses itself. If it's not, I'm asking you. You say you're an expert. Did what's this? You don't know. What's this? You don't know. My Lord is hearing the responses, and naturally, you address the issue. This should be addressed by the court. You understand? In terms of the competency. So I'm not bothered by that. If anybody comes to claim what is not, and we're asking questions associated with your claim, when you have not laid a proper foundation, you know that you're a legal counsel, you know the implication. I'm not a lawyer. But I know that such thing is nothing to worry about. Because I'll keep asking you questions that border on your first claim. And if your answers are not inconsistent with your primary claim, then the case will just address it naturally. So that's it. Now, asking me about whether my people are trained. I think, not to make a boast, I think the commission has one of the best personnel with regards to forensic in Nigeria. So far, the commission has been deliberate in terms of investing resources in the commission. It's really expensive. We're not there yet, but reasonably, I think the commission has done enormous. I'm telling you, you can do your investigation and all that. I mean, if I was not trained, I'm not sure I'll have the capacity and the courage to even be talking to you the way I'm doing. Commission has invested a lot of resources, but we're not there yet, and we're hoping that someday, sometime, that more and more resources. And I'm sure if other agencies would do the much that commission has even done, I'm sure we would have even been much more than where we are as a nation. So that's the way I would want to address that. I don't know whether that satisfied it. Okay. Okay, you are talking about database. We have a database. Depending on the database that you have. You understand? The question is it open for you to access and all that? It becomes a secondary question altogether. But we have database. And I'm sure that among the law enforcement in Nigeria, I think we have the very good database in terms of the things that we do. We have database, good database. Good database. As a matter of fact, ask the suspects who have been in the commission and they'll tell you that the biometrics, we have a good biometrics. The AFPON system working very effectively, unlike other agencies. I'm aware an agency that invested so much resources and the database is just lying fallow. Nothing is happening to it. Which is part of the problems I've mentioned earlier. We have categorically, like I say, with confidence that we have a very robust, standing and existing and functioning database.
Thank you, sir.
At least that I'm aware of that one. Right.
Please, let's move the whole question to the